Speaking of Episcopal things and church ranks, I think this is the best satire I've ever written on clergy, because I just got a thing about how, as I said in my sermon, about how puffed up we can get in this line of work. You know, we wear the fancy robes, we get the titles, we sometimes forget we're not God. We're just workers for hire taking care of some jobs in a congregation that a lot of people have responsibility for. But a lot of priests have ticked me off over the years by getting all puffed up. This one came to a head in the Diocese of Northwestern Pennsylvania at convention one year. We were having the convention Eucharist, and we were told, we all get our finery out, we're getting ready to process in, and we were told to line up in canonical order of precedence. Now, I knew what that meant. That means it's a rank thing. The longer you're in place, the more rank you have, and the farther back you are in the liturgical parade. Because the farther back you are in the liturgical parade, the more important you are. Who's the last one in the parade? The bishop. On Sunday, the rector gets to walk at the end. I mean, it's really kind of silly, but we were told to line up. I thought that was hilarious. So, and I've been ticked off enough by clergy who get a little puffed up. So I want to sing you a song that I sing to myself a lot just to make sure I don't get thinking I'm too big for my britches. I was at this big church service several years ago. The priests were lining up because it was time to start the show. And then one self-important cleric stood up to make some announcements. He told us to line up in our canonical order of precedence. What the hell is that? I asked the priest next to me with a frown. Turns out it's some kind of ranking based on when we moved to our town. And it kind of tickled my funny bone, the way the stuff can please us. Our titles and egos and rankings. How does this look to Jesus? Clerical ego, clerical pride, 20 miles long and 20 miles wide. Something ain't right here, let me be frank. What's that I smell? Clerical rank. Now you just think about our titles. Clerical pride does not end. We got venerable, very, right, and even most reverend. How about father, or mother, or rector, or vicar, or such? You can tell who I am by my title, but you sure can't tell me much. You know, I'd rather be called a gargoyle when we're thinking about sacred spaces. They're carved on the walls of cathedrals with rain spouts out their faces. They serve to protect the church. They ought to be part of the staff. It may look like they're spitting down on us, but they're always good for a laugh. Clerical ego, clerical pride, 20 miles long and 20 miles wide. Well, something ain't right here, let me be frank. What's that I smell? Clerical rank. And how about those clothes we wear when we're dressing up to go? You get a bunch of us together, we look like a fashion show. We got embroidered robes aplenty with elegance all over the place. We wear linen and orphreys and lappets and tippets and maniples, surplice and lace. There are priests who act like they think they were present at God's creation. They sign photos of themselves, to myself with frank admiration. It's obvious they think their gifts are wonderful and oh so fine. They write books with titles like this: The 10 Greatest Priests in the World and How I Trained the Other 9. Clerical ego, clerical pride, 20 miles long and 20 miles wide. Something ain't right here, let me be frank. What's that I smell? Clerical rank. And I hope you know by now that Mark Twain, I believe he was talking about Methodist ministers, but it translates to any denomination. Mark Twain said this: ministers are like manure. If you put them all in one pile, they stink. You have to spread them out to do any good. So no thanks to clerical ranks. No thanks to clerical ranks. No thanks to clerical ranks. No thanks. our priests, religious leaders, bishops, pastors, and theologians down through the centuries had been a little more into laughter and humor, church history might be a little less unpleasant to read and a lot less bloody. So I think, although this is a light and frivolous topic, it's really vital for the health of all Christians and all people of faith everywhere. So, what are you giving up for laughs this year? I hope you won't give up coming back. Next Sunday, Siona will be here, and she's going to talk about some of the classic humor from Jewish religious texts, and it will be fun. So, hope to see you then.